Now, I try to tune in live as much as possible. Without fail, GDQ makes my day better. Thank you to all the runners, staff, and incredible community. And that was for $25. Thank you so much. Alrighty, I just got word that it is time to clean up the oldest house and fight off the hiss. Get ready for Control All Bosses speed run. Take it away, Demonic.
All right. Hey there, everyone. My name is DemonicRobots. I am joined on the couch by my lovely commentators. We'll start out with this guy over here first.
My name is decosmic.
My name is mikewave. And I am bryonato.
Awesome. So before we get started, we have one very important thing to figure out. What language are we doing?
All right, looks like French is the winner.
French is the winner. All right.
That's how you do it.
So we're going to just jump right into the action here. Time is going to start after this loading screen, and once we skip the cutscene, and then we'll jump right into it. All right, time is going to start in 3, 2, 1, go.
Heyo.
Heyo.
All right. Welcome to Control. It is a third-person shooter by Remedy Games. If you don't know them, they were the ones that did Max Payne, Alan Wake, and a bunch of other really good games. This is essentially the closest we can get to a AAA SCP game. If you don't know, SCP is basically a collection of stories online that is about a fictional organization that houses like very spooky items, things that are like normal everyday things that kind of have a paranormal property to it. So that's a very large inspiration here. And we were playing as Jessie Faden, who has been separated from her brother for about 17 years now and has tracked him down to the oldest house. And she's going to embark on the classic boomer tale. She's going to work her way up from a janitor's assistant all the way up to the director of the Federal Bureau of Control. And I'm going to show you right how. Right now, she's that janitor's assistant, and now she's the director of the FBC. So good for Jessie. So this is going to be the first spooky item that we find. This is an object of power in OOP and OOPS. It's called the service weapon, and it's going to teleport us over once we touch it. So the service weapon is going to be our main weapon for the game. It is basically what Jessie uses, and it also connects us to the board. The board is a mysterious entity in the oldest house, which communicates with us for a bunch of different things. This is kind of like a tutorial area, basically teaching us how to use the gun. This is very common with all of the objects of power that we're going to be binding to, and we have a lot of them in here. And I'm going to let Bri explain how the combat works in this game.
Yeah, so the combat of this game is largely cooldown management. So we actually never have to reload our gun. You can see the ammo counter at the very bottom, and it's kind of like it recharges rather than like a traditional reload. And so a lot of the time we're going to be trying to match our damage with our cooldown, or balance our damage with our cooldown. So we have a melee, we have our weapon, obviously, and then later on we will have an energy bar too for a lot of our like telekinetic abilities that we'll be able to use. So as well as in combat, there is a lot of camera manipulation that is used to spawn enemies in certain areas. And so we'll see that a lot throughout the run. It's pretty prevalent in this area right here too. Just to touch on our melee attack really quick as well, it has a really big wide cone to it. So we'll generally use that to try and hit multiple enemies at once. So by looking in the back left here, we're going to force these enemies to spawn kind of directly in front of us. And you'll see Demonic doing a few other camera manipulations as this fight goes on. And here's the double hit on the melee. There we go. Very nice. So clean so far. This first fight here is so the category is all bosses. This is distinctly not a boss. This is just a mini boss. So we're going to see a little bit more camera manipulation or spawn manipulation, and then the big bad will spawn in the middle here. So it's very red, by the way. It's super.
Yeah, I do apologize for this. This is very common.
Oh, you know what I think it is? I think Mute, the previous runner, plays with the saturation turned up hella high. I bet that's what it is.
That might be the case, but it's fine. It's fine. It's going to be not very red in here in just a second. Normally I would draw a smiley face, but I don't think it's going to show up. But yeah, this is our introduction to the control points. The control points are very important because they essentially allow us to fast travel. They allow us to do upgrades. So it's very, very important that we get as many of these as we can, but we also try and skip a few of them due to the fact that this animation takes a little while and we don't really need every single one. It's also going to be where we are actually going to be teleported back to whenever we do a quit to menu. We do a couple of those in the game. This game is timed by RTA without loads. However, some of these are going to be slower if we do that, slower than RTA. So we're going to be skipping a few of them, but a few are faster RTA and RTA without loads. Like normally we would quit out right here after talking to Emily. However, we are not going to do that. So now we are heading over to pick up something called the hotline. This is something that only the director, who is now Jessie Faden because she picked up the service weapon, can access. And basically it is a communication with the board, who is that entity that we talked about earlier. And we got a little bit more combat. Right now we don't have access to any of our movement abilities or any of our other combat styles. So because of that, a lot of these early game fights are very optimized into very specific ways. So, you know, looking in certain areas to spawn nip, taking these fights with very specific attacks. For example, whenever there's a shielded enemy, it is going to be better to either use our launch or use our melee. Let's see if I can get this triple. We did.
That's very nice. Yeah, that's a pretty difficult enemy minute too. You have to, yeah, lining that up is, I rarely ever got that when I ran this, so yeah. Right, so these control points that we get, generally we're not really gonna get a control point if we can avoid it, but there are some areas where we're forced to kind of like cleanse an area of the Hiss, which is this evil entity that's kind of invading the FBC right now. And they can be used as fast travel points as well. And here's the best part of the whole game. Love it. Excellent sound effect. Yeah, we'll clap for that.
Yeah.
And this is going to bring us up to another object of power. This one is a floppy disk that actually contains nuclear launch codes on it. And this skip right here is pretty cool. This is a dev-intended skip, actually. This ladder skip to get up here, and it's tricky. It's about as tricky as it looks. You really have to extend your arms out here to get this ledge grab. There we go, very nice. And so by touching this object of power, the floppy disk, it now gives us the ability to launch things with our mind, hence the launch codes. And so, yeah, this is another journey into the astral plane where we're going to be introduced to the mechanics of the launch. And you can see our energy bar in the top middle of the screen there. That's going to be another resource that we have to manage, another cooldown, and or I guess just another energy bar to manage. And yeah, basically any of our telekinetic abilities are going to be tied to that specifically. So the launch does a ton of damage and one-shots most enemies, especially this early in the game. And anytime that we're using it, we're usually going to be trying to kill multiple enemies at once with one throw if possible. Which,
like that.
Just like that. Great timing on that. Well done. So there we go. And now we are off to the first actual boss fight of the game and our first big skip as well. So this game, when you're able to move a bunch of props around like this, you might imagine that if you're familiar with other games where you can kind of pick up and move props at will, we can exploit that. So we're going to stack these boxes in a very specific spot and then get this one above our head, and then we're going to drop it and jump into it at the same time, and that's going to cause us to do an up clip through the floor.
Hold on, this guy wants to be annoying.
Yeah, that guy loves to be annoying.
Sometimes this box just doesn't want to let us go up. Come on. There we go.
Very nice. Up through the floor. And here we go. This is our first boss of the game. This is Tomasi. Tomasi is kind of like an upgraded version of these flyers that we'll encounter later on. And this boss, if you played it casually, you probably struggled here. We're going to be basically trying to we're going to be trying to do damage in bursts. So Tomasi will try and fly around and dodge our stuff, but if we can get a bunch of throws with telekinesis off at once, we're able to, this is going great, by the way.
Where are you?
Just a few more, yeah, a few more, there we go, perfect. Nice. That was really well done. That was really well done. So the bosses in this game are defined by the health bar that sits at the bottom of the screen. Any boss that has a big health bar and is named like that and has at the bottom of the screen, that is a boss. We'll encounter some other like named enemies or mini bosses. Those do not count. And I forget how many bosses there are exactly.
10 bosses.
10 bosses, thank you. So yeah, that is what we will be doing. And I just want to say real quick, since we got just kind of a little downtime here, it's really cool that Demonic is here running all bosses at SGDQ 2022 because the last time Control was at GDQ was at AGDQ 2020, which was also in person. And at that event, I ran it there. And at that event, I was like, you know what? We should do all bosses for Control. So this has really come like full circle. So I appreciate a lot that this is here.
Yeah, and it's an amazing category. I love it.
Definitely the best one.
It's so good. Right now, there's a bunch of story stuff going. We're going to get the hotline. It's the only object of power that Jesse binds to that doesn't really have any gameplay mechanic. It's kind of just a lore dump. Lets us connect to the board directly and also the bullet that is in the former director's brain, Director Trench. So now would be a good time for some donations.
You got it. I've got a $15 donation from Jesse Lockhart that says, absolutely loved that Doom Eternal run. So many amazing tricks, and it felt like it just hooked by at demon speed. Looking forward to the Control run, one of my all-time favorite games. This is gonna be dynamite.
Nice spike jump, by the way.
We got enough time for another one.
All right, I have another donation by Dr. Casper Darling for $665.
Wow.
Whoa.
Wow, okay.
It says, hello, Darling here. Just reminding you of the elevator code.
Thanks. Thank you, Dr. Darling, for wherever you are now.
You got enough time for one more?
Yes.
All right. Let's see. We've got a donation from Sir Kai for $5 that says, with all the different movement and combat abilities, this game will definitely be broken fast. Question to the runner and the couch. Which song is better? Take Control or Dynamite?
I mean, it's got to be Dynamite for me.
Dynamite's good. Take Control is better in the context of the game.
Yeah.
I will say
okay,
that.
fair enough. Yeah, I mean,
I'm just gonna go with Take Control.
I mean,
Yeah, I
you
think
can't really beat
Control
the
as well.
Asteroid Maze with Take Control.
True,
play.
yeah,
True.
absolutely.
I think in a vacuum, I kind of like Dynamite more.
Vous avez la hotline? Commencez là-bas.
All right, so we were talking to Pope here again. She goes, great, you got the hotline, and you figured that out. Now she is sending us to the maintenance sector. So right now there are two lockdowns going on, an internal lockdown and an external lockdown. The internal lockdown locks down every sector in the game, and Jesse needs to access those. Oops, didn't get that skip, that's fine. So we need to go open up those sectors so we can access the rest of the oldest house. There's also noted that there's an external lockdown, which they don't know how Jesse got in when it was actually active. There's some theories that it's either Ati, who is the janitor we met earlier, who's totally a normal
normal
person,
dude.
Very normal dude, or it might have been Polaris, who is a voice in Jesse's head that is tied to the lore and tied to the event that happened in Jesse's hometown 17 years ago. So it might have been her, it might have been Ati, we don't know. Here we're coming up to our first kind of like nice little skip. This is where like the game really starts to break. We did have that one for Tomasi, which is named No Mossy. This one is going to be a little bit more, this level's going to be a little bit more apparent.
A little more involved as well. Yeah. Good luck with this clip. This is another one of those up clips that we use. And this barrel, it can be a little bit tricky. Oh, you got that first try.
Really clean, yeah, good job.
So prepare for a lot of the run to start looking like that. One of my favorite ways that Demonic commentates this game is, he'll say that as soon as we get a new ability, we immediately break the game with it, and that is going to be apparent. That's apparent here, and then it'll continue to be like that. Another up clip through the floor. That forklift chassis is one of the most consistent clipping objects that we can use in the whole game. And now we're going to be doing one of the first optional side quests in the game. So this one is going to give us the ability to use a dash, which is going to be super important to a lot of our both inbounds and out-of-bounds movement. And yeah, it's going to facilitate a lot of various things throughout the run.
Yeah, it should also be noticed that this ability that we're about to get shares the same cooldown as our launch. So if we launch a bunch of times, we can't dash and vice versa. So that's where a lot of the energy management comes into.
And so this strat coming up here is one of my favorite finds that I ever found when I ran this game. We're going to use the dash ability to kind of go on around the far left side by kind of wedging ourselves in the invisible geo in some of these moving walls, and it just kind of like ports you straight up. It's really, really cool. We call that the astral boink. And it allows you to skip a pretty extended movement puzzle, and I think it saves around like 8 seconds. I really love that strat a lot. And that was really well executed, by the way. It's not super easy.
Yeah, sometimes you'll get dragged back over, and there's a little trigger that will teleport you back to the very beginning because it thinks you fell. So you kind of have to be careful not to have that happen. But this is going to be a very good example of our movement, and that is very brave. That's okay. Main aspect that we want to do is we don't want to get into some certain areas where we are like out of stamina and we're like getting attacked in a specific way, or we are out of bounds and we're falling. So it's very, very important that we manage our stamina and make sure our energy is good and all of that. So here we go. This is a brand new one. This entire section, we are supposed to be turning on some energy converters and doing some stuff for Auti, but Jessie's a little lazy. So she's gonna be basically skipping all of that. All we're doing right now is hitting all the necessary triggers to avoid soft locking.
And you all do this route now.
Yeah,
Oh, dude.
yeah. So we're gonna come over here. We're gonna land right here, and then we're gonna head in bounds. This level kind of loops in on itself, so we just drop right here, and we are at the very end of this.
This is easily one of the biggest skips in the entire game after this combat sequence. If y'all play this game casually, you remember just how long, and I would say arguably confusing, this whole section of the game is. We hit all the necessary triggers, and then we clip into the room that finishes the level. And so we're gonna skip, I mean, just so much stuff right now. As Demonic said, we call this the lazy janitor, this one, so.
Yeah.
She made it all the way to director and then got lazy.
And you might have noticed we did not do Slidey McGunny. A moment of silence for Slidey McGunny. He has been routed out of the speedrun, so.
Yeah.
Moment of silence, please. Moment of silence. All right, thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Don't worry. We're still gonna have some very cool
Oh,
glitches that make up
y'all
for it.
are in for a treat. We still got some cool stuff. Just wait till you see Shieldy McSorry later on.
I gotta say, the control community just has some of the best like names for
I'm gonna
skips
take a lot
and
of credit
techniques.
for that. I'm not even gonna
Yeah,
lie.
they are
That's
pretty
fair,
wild.
yeah.
Jess, bon travail. Et vous
Like
avez
in Devil May
noté
Cry,
ce
we just got like Mission 9 skip. We don't have Shieldy McSorry or Slidey McGunny or Astral Boink.
No.
Boxy McFloaty.
That
All the
too,
names
yeah.
are very like highly debated when they're figured out. We like come up, find the skip, and then we have like a conversation between like a bunch of runners being like, all right, what's the coolest
Heated
name we call
debates.
this?
Yeah. All right, so Old Boys Club, yeah?
Yes. So right now we have lifted the internal lockdown, so we're able to travel to other sectors, and we are heading over to talk to Marshall. The game kind of forgets about Jesse's brother for a little while because there's more priorities. We're getting attacked by the hiss, so we need to go talk to Marshall, who is like the head of like security and head of operations, and she's kind of the only character in this game that just like knows way more than anybody else. That's like very active.
That's still
in the
around,
story.
basically, yeah.
So we're gonna go find her, and she's trying to secure something called the HRH lab, which creates these things called Hedron resonance anchors, which essentially stops everybody but Jesse from turning into evil hiss enemies. And right now we're gonna be doing an alternative skip to what Bry did at his run. We're gonna get up here.
Nice.
Really good clip out, A lot of these have been very clean.
Yeah, and this is a somewhat, this is going to be much different than what you might have seen at AGDQ 2020. So this part is the same, but we actually have a skip for the part that comes after it now. We get introduced to those big, weird, like screaming rock creatures. And this is supposed to be like a whole thing where you're kind of kiting it around a room trying to activate some stuff. So Demonic is going to very carefully hit a trigger there and then walk around this razor's edge around the outside. And he is jumping over the void right now, so any small mistake will be a death. But fortunately, it looks like we're getting it. This is some very precise out-of-bounds routing, and we'll know that we hit all the triggers if we hear Marshall talking to us on the PA when we get in right here. Nice. Very nicely done.
That's the thing with a lot of these skips in this game is that you have to like go around and get all the triggers because the game apparently does not handle sequence breaking very well.
It depends on the level, actually.
Okay.
So, like the last level that you saw, we skipped probably about like 20 minutes of content, right? And that was only hitting a few triggers. Where Old Boys Club is much different, and for like different reasons. I forget why. I remember we've had some conversations with some of the devs as to why this one is so more tightly scripted. But yeah, like it really just kind of depends. Some levels we can just go point to point. Other ones we have to hit a bunch of triggers in a very specific order.
That's awesome. It's cool that they told you too.
That should be everyone down here.
This is a very extended combat sequence, and this is a really good time to talk about, some of the multi-kills you can get with launch. Our launch kills are going to be centered around basically like multi-hits and then also pull-throughs. So if we can hit multiple enemies with one launch, that's really great. And then also we can damage enemies when we pull an object through them as well. And considering that a launch takes up so much of our energy bar at the top, anytime we get multiple hits, that was clean, by the way. Anytime we get multiple hits with it is perfect.
Yeah. In this area, I'm also looking for two specific types of assets that we can get. So in this game, you only have the service weapon. However, you have multiple forms of it. We are trying to get one called Pierce, which is essentially the sniper variant, and we need 2 different types of resources, astral blips and intrusive patterns, and both of these are required to get it. Normally during any percent run, we don't really get it. It's not too important, and it's not like really required for the run because of how much little combat there is, but the bosses in this game have very like harsh weak points, so because of that, we really want to get it because it just like makes everything so much faster and easier because you just get an insane amount of damage, you get a headshot boost mod, it does a lot. Also, this elevator goes sideways. I usually show that for fun, but I also realized that there's a practical use to showing
the red arrow there. Yep, love that.
This also shows that we can actually access our map while we're still moving around and actively doing things. So that's going to become very important later on for a couple of the out-of-bounds skips.
Yeah, and a lot of out-of-bounds skips will just be in a complete black void, and the only thing we have to reference is our position on the map. And if you're looking to kind of like follow along with some of the resource collection, it does appear in the bottom right corner, and those will be just different kind of materials that we need to craft some of the stuff.
Yeah, we need 8 astral blips and 12 intrusive patterns, so hopefully we can get all that. We do get 2 astral blips for free for completing 2 different missions. So we need only like 6, and then we can just get the rest from that. So you're gonna see me like going out of my way to try and just collect all the resources that I can. This is also an important manip because I'm trying to keep my camera facing straight. This guy will let me. That'll spawn in a bunch of these explodey dudes who can be pretty annoying. I do want to be careful about them. One thing that I can do, however, is if I melee one and then dash away, we'll get both of them right there. Nice. It's very easy to dodge them, and along with that, where's the last one? There he is. Hello. When you're dashing, you kind of have an invulnerability around you.
You have a few amount of iframes.
Yeah, a few amount of iframes, so you can melee, and then as they're about to explode, you just dash away.
And again, not a boss. This is just another mini boss. Generally, anytime it introduces a new enemy type, it'll kind of do it in this way. The bosses in this all bosses run are generally done kind of in chunks, so we'll complete like large amounts of the main story and then do a few bosses like back to back to back. And frankly, the routing for this category has changed a lot since I ran it, so a lot of the stuff is going to be new.
We are good on
good on math
resources. Yes.
Wow, that's awesome. That's so early to have that done too.
That's very good luck.
Yeah, that's really, really, really good luck.
And I gotta say, I love like the extended combat sequences like that in this run because it's really just a testament to how like good manipulation and cooldown management really speeds up a lot of the time.
Dance.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Look, a couple more.
Yeah, we are like so ahead right now.
Yeah, that's really nice. Another thing to note as we get into a bit of a slow section here, this is just kind of a forced puzzle sequence. We are playing on the earliest available public patch. We refer to it as usually as 0.96. So a few of the stuff that we've done, some of it has been patched out. Some of it works a little differently on current patch. So we are playing on the oldest available, and as well on the oldest available patch, the enemy in that room in particular has like half the shield health that it would otherwise. So just as a little small aside as we continue here.
Yep. But as we're doing this puzzle to repair the HRA lab, now would be a good time for donations.
All right, you got it. I have a donation from Anonymous for $100 that says, enjoying requiring control speed run. Good, destined luck, runner, prisoner.
Is that the board? That sounds like the board.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's great. I love that.
Let's get another one.
All right, we got another one for $200 from Dr. Severe that says, hey runners, as a longtime contributor to the SCP Foundation, it's great to see Control getting its speed running due. Good luck reuniting with your long lost brother. I'm sure it'll go great.
Yeah, what could go wrong?
All right, we're gonna do a quick menu right here. So this is the second boss of the game. This is arguably the worst one for the simple reason that it's a tutorial boss, and it's a tutorial to an ability that we don't really use too much.
Now is when you do golden copy.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so we used to do this in a completely different order. So golden copy is frustrating because we can't directly damage it. This is gonna introduce the ability that is called seize. And so that's basically like a mind control ability. And so the only way for it to get damaged is to have the seized enemies damage it. And I believe, Demonic, you were telling me now you do it later so that the enemies are higher level and deal more damage?
Yes, so normally when we enter in this fight, the game has kind of an RPG-like system. As you can see, some enemies have, one second, let me do this puzzle. Some of these enemies have levels over their heads. It's not too complicated of a system, but if we go into this fight earlier in the run, which is what we used to do, we end up fighting these guys at level 3. And here we can fight them at level 6. And because they are such a higher level, they'll do more damage against the boss golden copy.
And so there's that health bar at the bottom I was talking about that indicates a boss. And yep, go ahead, Demonic, sorry.
Yeah, so right now what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring this guy over, slowly lead him as close as like we can to the boss, and then we're gonna seize him because we can't actually do any damage to the boss. The boss is right there, we can't do anything.
Yeah.
Only these enemies can.
I would say this is easily like the most random point in the whole run.
Yep, and sometimes they'll do that. Why are you going over there, bud?
You're right, and they'll shoot at walls and stuff. It's so frustrating. We have looked into like many ways to try and like somehow manip the boss to like fall off a ledge or something like that, but okay.
Yeah,
There we go.
Whoa,
There we
okay,
go.
good.
Clap for those NPCs. Yeah.
They didn't go Stormtrooper mode.
Still attacking 816, nice. So we're gonna do a quit to menu here, and now we're gonna continue on to the main story. And this is, if you watch Bryonato's run, which is a great run, I would recommend it. This is where it's gonna start to look very, very good.
Yeah, just a little bit.
This mission is called Threshold, and there is a reason for that. The devs were actually psychic, and they knew that this would be the threshold for every single Control player's run.
Yeah, so many runs have died here. Yeah, this really is the threshold to a real run and a fake one.
The main reason for that is because there are a lot of triggers, there's a lot of things that you have to do, and we get a new power, and we are very reliant on that new power. So,
Long load screen.
yeah. Gotta make sure everything's good. Normally, we try to do as little quit to menus as we can. However, unfortunately, we require quite a few of them.
As it turns out, teleporting immediately to a previous location is really powerful.
It's really powerful. It's really good. So we're gonna do a different clip here than what most people have seen. Right now, we are actually gonna be doing another side mission. Normally, we only did one side mission in most of these categories, except for like 100%. However, this one is
okay, yeah,
worth
this
it.
is new. All right.
Il permettra de sauver des vies.
Oh, so we're about to go get the shield, aren't we?
Yes.
All right, okay. Oh, yeah.
So hopefully this goes well. PC loads always change it, so 2, 3, 4, 5. This is not great. Yeah, unfortunately we didn't load in time. This area is a little finicky, so it might take me 1 or 2 more tries because we need to land at a very specific spot. And the way that this game loads is to make sure that, there's as little loading screens as possible. It loads in things as you get near them.
Streaming content.
Yes,
Yeah.
so we need to get close enough to start loading it in, but we need to also delay ourselves to not do what just happened right there, where it doesn't load in time and we fall to our death.
And so to talk a little bit about the, I guess I'll say something. You'll hear Demonic counting his dashes too, because the positioning for this is very specific, and obviously he has to balance that energy bar as well. So, good luck.
Protégé.
Okay, we're good.
Oh, very
Excellent, yeah.
nice. Nice, dude. That looks so hard. So there's the mission, a good defense, and so this is going to give us the shield ability. So this is far and away the biggest deviation from, basically, if you haven't watched a Control run in the last year or so, this is going to be the biggest change. So we've actually known about the glitch that this ability is going to give us for a very long time. Actually, I discovered it completely accidentally when I was just messing around with stuff a long time ago, where basically you activate the shield, and I kind of was clipping through a wall, and some really wild stuff happened. And so we've known about it for a while, but this mission, as you can see, this is completely optional, and this is taking a long time. This is a big time investment, but it's effectively going to give us the ability to kind of just fly around almost anywhere we want to go. Not without some difficulty, but this is it's going to be huge. So I'm excited for Demonic to show this off. This will be its GDQ debut.
Yeah, so we're gonna wait there just so we can get our energy back. Normally this is supposed to be a tutorial where we can't fight the enemies like last time, only it's you're supposed to be using your shield to block everything and go around. And
We definitely don't use the shield to block stuff. Yeah,
No.
not at all. Yeah.
right. So here is where the first shieldy is going to come into play. Blink and you'll miss it. This one is kind of one of the faster ones. This overrides Boxy McFloaty, which is a real shame. I'm very upset about that.
This is going to be cool, though. Yeah.
So what we're going to do is we're going to overlap the menu while we have our shield out, like this. We're going to teleport to somewhere that is in the same sector that isn't too close. That gives us a loading screen that's prominent. And
get ready.
Turn on the no clip.
there we go. And so now we're out of bounds. It clips us through. It's great.
And that's just like a taste. Like, we're about to see some much more wild stuff with that, too. That trick is called, well, because you can fly with it with shield, we call it Shieldy McSorry, or alternatively Air Canada, whichever you'd like to do. So.
And then we are in the Ocean View Motel. We didn't really talk about these too much. These are kind of like little gateway portals that kind of offer some lore, offer some ambience, and kind of gives us a little puzzle to like unlock things. It's worth noting that this is one of the few ones that we do intentionally. There are a few that we can do unintentionally, because essentially these are just...
You mean intended?
Yeah. Essentially, like, these are just kind of little areas in the map that are just like we teleport to. However, if we can access them like without doing the intended way, we can just drop down into the end. It's great.
Yeah. Every single like area that we're being teleported to, you know, from like a game development perspective, it has to exist somewhere on the map. So if we can identify where that is on the map and get to it like that, then yeah, we can skip that. And we'll be seeing some of that later on. It'll be pretty cool. Another shieldy coming up here, looks like.
Yep. So this level has a lot of triggers. We're hitting almost all of them like out of order in some way.
So wild. So Demonic, do you know like the reason why this works this way?
I have absolutely no idea. Okay. Shout out to some of the French runners and Bucky. They were the main ones that actually routed this in.
Yeah.
So they were like the ones that like figured out how to like make it more consistent to control, where to use it, where it saves time.
Yeah, there's a ton. You'll hear Demonic kind of like mashing jump and stuff like that. There's like glides you can do. There's a lot of nuance into how exactly you control yourself using this ability. It's never something that I really understood. You know, the most I kind of did with it was, you know, I was messing around with it and I kind of went through a wall and flew up in the air and, you know, shared it with everybody. That was kind of it. And then, yeah, over the last year, it's just been this huge effort to route it in. And we didn't think it was faster at first because it took so long to get. Here we go again. And as it turns out, I mean, even in like...
I say this? No, I gotta read it.
Even in like any percent, it saves like 2 minutes or something, right?
Yeah, it saves way more than that actually now.
Yeah, it's massive.
It takes about 2 minutes to collect Shieldy, and it saves like 7 minutes in the run.
Wow.
So
we were just sleeping on that. We were just sleeping on that, yeah.
Unfortunately, it doesn't affect the RTA as much because, as you can see, there's a lot of preparation that you have to do for it. If you mess up, you have to like quit to menu and then load away, or like travel away and then travel back, and it can be a little bit long, but it definitely like saves so much time. Like we're skipping so much content right now.
So where are we going with this shield? Are we trying to just get into the quarry?
So this is a different variant of a older skip called Who is a Riche?
Oh, we're doing a Riche skip right now. Okay, yeah. All right.
I think this is good. As long as I don't fall through. I fell through. Okay. So that's another example of like how these loads can be kind of weird. As you can see, it like loaded in, and then we're a little too far away, so it deloaded, and then didn't load in time. So that's kind of something that can happen. But while we're doing this, we have some time for a donation or two.
Alrighty, I've got a $10 donation from Bunch of Control developers.
Oh, awesome.
Okay, let's go, Remedy.
All right, they say, thank you for breaking our game in a very, very entertaining way, big smiley face. Cheers. Bunch of Control developers laughing our asses off here at the Remedy office.
I love that. I love that.
All right, I got another one here. Let's see. From Blarg for $5 that says, set an alarm for the chance to heckle you in particular, dude. Good luck, man.
Thank you. So we're gonna drop down here, we're climbing on this roof, and we're gonna fall down. This is one of the safes that some people are in. And then I'm gonna drop down like this. Oh my God, I fell in, that's so good.
Wow.
Normally you have to like land on top and then you have to do all this other stuff to fall like down.
So
it's really
scared.
scary. We just fell right into it. That's amazing. So I'm really happy that worked.
Okay, Val, you get a clap for that. Yeah. So we have a. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, so this is the introduction to the worst enemy in the game. It is a enemy that goes invisible and can almost one-shot us. So we're gonna try and get him before he flies away. Should be good.
Quick kill.
He's done.
Nice quick kill.
Very nice.
Yeah, if that one gets away, that can get really out of hand real quick. So, yeah, that's awesome that we have people in Finland at Remedy watching this. I guess with the schedule getting pushed so far, I guess it worked out well for the European folks. So that's pretty nice. If there's any folks at Remedy watching, send us a donation and explain why, if you know why Shieldy is doing this. That would be so cool. It's so weird.
Yeah. It's great. I also just want to give a shout out to them. They've been very, very helpful with the speedrunning community, helping us make sure that we could access older patches and just overall being really cool people.
Especially the community manager, Vita. She's awesome. Love her.
So again, this game has a lot of triggers to avoid stop locking because it's kind of structured like a Metroidvania.
Yeah.
So because of that, there's a lot of triggers to avoid things from breaking. Right now, we're just hitting a bunch of triggers. So normally, we're supposed to go to Dr. Darling's lab, grab his key card, take an elevator, and then unlock that door. The trigger for that door, to continue on with the mission, isn't the door unlocking, it's just touching the door. So because of that, we hit the trigger right there, and now we've done all of that. We've hit the triggers out of order. Game's probably very confused and very upset right now. I do apologize for the game.
I'm confused and upset. You're doing this is so weird, dude.
So now we're gonna head to the end. Our entire goal of this mission was to find a piece of black rock, which is kind of just basically anti-spooky properties. That's kind of the best way to describe it. Hold on, we got another kind of hard shielding. It's kind of hard to stay inbounds and not gain height.
There we go.
That was wild.
That went pretty well. So we're basically getting a piece to create the HRAs that save everybody else except Jesse. It's also a very important lore note that Jesse is the only person who has not been invaded by the Hiss that doesn't have one on. More on that later. So we're gonna kill 2 of these guys. We don't want to kill all 3 of them because if we do, it'll actually spawn in some other enemies.
Woo! I hate that
Very
guy.
rude, very rude.
Yeah.
Those are the worst enemies in the commons because
Those rockets are heat-seeking.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you'll have to actively avoid them. But there we go. We get the update to speak with Marshall, and now we are heading back to Central Executive to talk to her. The route hasn't changed too much from any percent. We've had 2 boss fights, but they're kind of not super far out of the way. This is the chapter where it's gonna look very different.
Okay, I'm excited. I'm
Yep.
excited. Yeah, even the boss order is already so different than what I'm used to.
So keep in mind, we've done 2 bosses so far. We've done Tomasi 1, and we've done Golden Copy. So 8 more bosses if you want to track at home chat. That is the way to do it. We're going to speak to Marshall right over here. And as we're heading to the next area, let's get some donations.
Alrighty, I've got a $50 donation from Teo who says, as someone who worked on Control and is a fan of GDQ since the start, there was no question about the timing of this donation. I've had surgery this week and SGDQ was the best companion I could have had while kicking cancers behind. Keep up the good work.
Thank you so much.
All right, and then I have,
Yeah, let's clap for that.
All right, and then I have a $20 donation from Nick O that says, Control is one of the coolest games I've ever played, and this speedrun is more than cool enough to match it. Shouts to all of the French viewers for their excellent taste in games.
All right, so this is the area that normally we would do. We wouldn't really do this fight. Oh, that's
That's spooky.
interesting.
Oh, you got
It's
full
fine,
health
fine.
back. Yeah, you're good.
Now might actually be a good time to explain exactly how the health system works. If you want to do that, Mike.
Yeah, so health in this game, we pick it up after enemies die, so it kind of rewards its super aggressive playstyle that Demonic is doing right here. But also, there is a built-in health gate that works in the game to prevent us from just getting one-shot outside of fall damage. So it's really hard to be actually one-shot in this game. You'll notice this red filter that goes over the screen whenever we actually are able to die. That is just to tell to the player, okay, you can actually die now if you take any more damage.
Yep. So we're gonna throw this up here. So this is gonna look very different. We used to do something called My Brother's Doom. This is kind of, I guess, a variant of it. It's very different. But essentially, we want that checkpoint because we're gonna be coming here a lot. We used to skip it for a while, and then that got routed out. But we're gonna do a Noom right there.
That's very cool.
So we ran into something that basically mantled us and didn't really know where to put us. So because of that, we get sent to like the 0, 0 coordinates of a loaded cell, and we teleport through the wall, and then land right into the Ocean View Motel. If we land correctly, which we did, we actually don't have to do the puzzle there.
That's a long puzzle too.
Yeah, so that went pretty well.
Yeah, that was a lot of stuff happening all at once. You clipped out of bounds, we did the Neum, and then as we talked about earlier, we were able to figure out where exactly in the game world that Ocean View puzzle sat, and so we kind of navigated to where it is out of bounds and just landed in the solve room, basically. So I love those skips, because while I love, from a narrative perspective, the Ocean View Motel, from the speedrun, it was always very frustrating, because you can't even dash in there, so yeah.
So you're probably wondering why we weren't doing shieldy at all. It's because we need 2 control points that are in a same sector. And since we just got here, we didn't have them unlocked, but now that we do, the game's gonna look a little bit more broken again.
All right.
If it wasn't already looking broken enough in this chapter. Also, it's worth noting that we got Pierce. That is very good. You can swap between 2 versions of the service weapon at a time, and we only get 2, so we don't need to like do any extra menuing for that. We got Grip, which is the pistol, which is still very good. People, I think, sleep on
awesome.
Grip.
Yeah,
and then Pierce, which is going to be mainly for bosses. Here we go. We're going to do another shieldy, which is going to skip a super long elevator ride. And then we're going to finally meet...
Oh, so you finally did skip the elevator. I love that. Okay. Heyo.
Heyo. So Bry was very rude and left Phil behind in 2020. He's been staring at that fridge the entire time. So we're going to finally give him...
We're finally going to save Phil. Are we doing that right now?
After Salvador.
After Salvador.
Yes.
Okay, cool. And it should be noted, Pierce is it's kind of like a charge-up sniper. So you'll see the little gauge kind of charge in the middle of the screen, and then it'll shoot off one powerful shot. And when you combine that with some of the other kind of random drops you can get, the headshot bonus and stuff like that, it'll do massive damage.
So again, another shieldy here. This is going to look very different. This is kind of the only boss that we really cheese. The other bosses we do pretty much as intended. We have ways to skip to get to them, but the fights are relatively just, good combat. This one is not.
So messed up that you skipped this cutscene.
Yeah, we're going to start that cutscene. We're not going to finish it, however. We're going to do a quit to menu because we're going to do a shieldy to actually get into the arena. So this skips the cutscene. This skips some dashes that we have to do. But more importantly, it has a bit of a side effect by entering this area. So normally this boss fight is actually kind of difficult to do quickly. Salvador can get a shield, he can throw things at you, you have enemies falling on top of you, and that's just not really that great. I'm gonna let my dash refill right here. Just a little bit. When you mess up a shieldy, you kind of have to let it refill just a bit because it does take energy and it doesn't recover while you're using it. So because of that, if you get a bad shieldy, you might not have enough dashes to save yourself. Here we go. We're gonna go up right here. I see the spotlight. This is looking good. There we go. So we land right here. We land into the boss arena, and Salvador is completely broken now.
Wow.
Not sure. I'm gonna. Looks like I didn't hit a trigger. We're gonna double check that. This game again is very, very sensitive for a trigger, so I'm gonna.
Oh, did you think that the fight didn't start?
Yeah, the fight should have started, so I must have missed something. But I'm gonna go back and start the cutscene over again and just make sure I hit everything. There's a lot of triggers in this game, and some of them we aren't really too sure about. So we're just gonna do another shieldy back over there. In the meantime, let's get a donation.
All right, let's see. All right, I've got a $25 donation from Era that says, I bought Control on a whim, having no idea it was about to become one of my absolute favorite games. For all its spooky shenanigans, there's something about the oldest house that feels like coming home to me.
So true.
So glad I woke up in time to catch the run. Good luck to the runner, taking out the bosses that gave me so much trouble in a matter of seconds.
We got time for another one.
All right, let's see. Got a $20 donation from Gintako that says, this game is anything but ordinary. Blink during the run and you might not, redacted. Good luck.
All right, so hopefully we'll be able to fix this.
All right, good luck with this one.
Yeah, again, sometimes there's triggers where you hit them 99% of the time, and then the 1% of the time is, of course, during a marathon.
Yeah.
So.
No, it's like that sometimes, yeah. And so, yeah, basically by doing what Demonic is doing, it's going to cause...
There we go. That's
the music we're looking for. Yeah, effectively, so the fight starts.
Yep, so the fight starts. So
On that.
Bryo is a little confused. If you're wondering why, it's because normally Salvador will start attacking us. However, I'm going to do this. Let's see if I can do this blind. No. However, because of us doing shieldy, he's just going to chill up there for a little while.
What's weird is that like the common enemies that are in this fight, their AI loads in at some point, but Salvador's never does.
Yeah, I have no idea why. It's just kind of a side effect. You're shooting at me. There you are. Yeah, these enemies work totally fine and as intended. However,
Oh, the red.
Very red.
And there you are, buddy. All right. However, Salvador, he's just kind of chilling up there, so we're just gonna get some headshots in on him, and then kind of just combine that with
This is such a
our
silly
long.
way to do this fight.
Yeah. I am glad that this is like the only boss that we fight that is broken. The rest of them work like totally fine. But yeah, so for any percent, that's the only boss fight that they do though, and it's pretty easy.
Great job shooting that stationary target.
Yep.
Really well done.
So this is probably the most important ability in the entire game. This is levitate. So we touched the TV and now we can levitate. Again, if that doesn't tell you how cool and like weird these games are, like I don't know what will. So this is going to be very important for our movement, mainly due to the fact that this is like one of the only abilities other than C's that actually doesn't use our energy. So what we can do is we can gain a lot of height with shieldy, and then levitate, and then get our recharge back, and then dash, and then keep on doing that to like really extend the distance that we can travel out of bounds, which makes it very helpful later on. But now this is where the route is really going to change from any percent. This is where we start doing some of the side missions.
We're gonna go save Philip.
We're going to save Philip.
All right.
We're saving Philip finally after, what, 2 years?
We've been sitting there for 2.5 years at this point. Yeah. So the kind of the side quest or the story around the side quest here is that this particular altered item or the object of power, I forget if it's an altered item or object of power. This one.
Altered item.
Altered item.
But the fridge, basically, if you're not staring at it, it starts acting erratically and gets very violent and kills people and stuff. It's very similar to that really famous SCP.
Yep. It is actually kind of a direct reference to it.
Yeah, almost a direct reference. And so,
So first, we're actually, I did forget. We need to go.
I used to forget this all the time too.
Yeah.
You gotta finish the mission.
We need to finish the mission. It doesn't end at killing the boss. It ends at finding out that our brother is not in his containment cell. He is actually just back with the executive sector. So that's also a good thing and a bad thing. The good thing is, he's back, he's okay. The bad thing is the hiss has kind of taken him over. He's not like all the other ones. He's like still kind of has control of himself, but it's definitely a problem that Jesse needs to fix.
But yeah, I'm assuming we're still gonna see a bit of that. There's gonna be a bit of a constant fast travel back and forth here. So we have to go up and talk to Philip and then go talk to Langston to like give us the quest basically for Philip. And then we go back up to Philip and you can see he's talking to the fridge there.
Yeah, he's been there for a little while, and so we're gonna head back to talk to Philip to get a replacement for him. And it's kind of funny because Jesse yells at him a little bit. She's like, well, "How did you completely forget that there was somebody in there?" And he goes, "Oh well, like there was an issue."
Yeah.
Also, you just saw right there, I got an ability called Ground Slam. At the expense of the rest of my energy bar, I can slam forward. That is going to be pretty useful later on. So we're going to head back up to the upper Panopticon. And, he's going to find us a replacement. But for now, we're going to help him out. We're going to let Philip finally get a break. He's going to go get some coffee. It's very early out here. And, yeah, he just went to get coffee. Don't worry about it. He might have spilled one of his drinks, one of his Red Bulls, but don't worry, we're handling the situation. He's okay.
All right, this is our first encounter with the Former, who is this weird kind of insect-looking tentacle boss. They have a couple different attacks they can do where they're going to swing a big arm directly down and it'll actually break the terrain that sits underneath this. We have to be careful about that. And then they will shoot off these big laser balls, and that is their weak point, is in fact where that's coming from the eye. So ideally, if we do this fast, we can get it in anywhere from 1 to 3 cycles, and that would be considered nice. When the eye is kind of in like that closed position like that, hitting the weak point is much harder. So there's that arm slam attack.
Yeah, and like we kind of are trying to hit the center of the eye, and you can't really aim directly at it. You need to it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. You have to like aim like to the side of it, but also like not exactly. So, kind of hitting these. You can throw those balls back at him, but like they'll usually kind of clap.
You're
together
getting like
that.
really bad luck with where the objects are hitting too. Normally when you hit them with launch, it'll do this big chunking damage.
Oh,
Oh,
no.
that's unfortunate.
that's fine.
Yeah, normally, every single time that Demonic was throwing there, one of those launches should have hit him in the weak point and gave him like the huge chunk of damage. You didn't get it like a single time.
No, yeah, sometimes the hitbox for the critical hit spot for the former is a little wonky.
That was literally one of the most unlucky former fights I've ever
Yeah.
seen in my entire life.
But it's fine. Thankfully, this game is not too like. It's not too big of a deal today. We just come back here.
Yeah.
We get to see Philip again. We kind of took over him. He took over for us. It evens out.
It should be noted too, even if you manage to out of bounds clip into this room, you can like actually be in here with Philip and. Well, okay, you definitely saved him, right? But you still can't save him even if you do that. So yeah. All right, but I hope you get a little bit better luck this time.
Yeah. I'm trying to like kind of look over just a little bit to the left because the object is like actually in the world with its own physics. It's not like something that is like guaranteed. So it can kind of make this like a little bit hard to use a lot. See, that's kind of like what we should have got earlier. Saw that like last one, but let's try that again.
There we go. See,
Now we're
that's
getting
the
some-
damage we're looking for. Yeah, all right, all right.
It's gonna pop up right over here. It's also like worth noting that we have to be a little bit careful because whenever we get like hit by like near one of those whatchamacallits, like
The
tentacles,
energy balls, tentacles, yeah.
it actually destroys the floor underneath us.
There you go.
And then once we just kill the boss, we can just do quit to menu and the object is cleansed. But yeah, it'll actually break open the floor and you can fall through those holes, and it's definitely happened to me a few
Oh,
times.
dude, that fight, I mean, even when you play that casually too, is so hard.
From what I understand, they like changed it, right, to like make it easier, I think.
Yeah, maybe on later patches. Yeah, on this patch, basically, we don't have any of those extra assistance or anything like that. On some of the newer patches, they added like different control points. I believe I'm not sure if they changed any of the boss behaviors or anything like that. But anyway, a really big really big drop that we get from completing that mission is we get headshot boost, which is gonna massively increase our damage on Pierce, and you'll just see how hard it's gonna hit a bit later on. So looks like we're doing another shielding now.
Yes. So we're going to do a fast travel to logistics. We just got a mission called Langston's Runaways. This doesn't have a boss tied to it, but it unlocks part 2 of Langston's Runaways, which will access us a boss, so we need to do it. We're going to get the first one right here. This is a traffic light. If you ever played red light, green light as a kid, Jesse is going to do that right here. Going to teleport us over to where the area was. And it turns out, because we did that, we actually were not supposed to do that yet because there's a first phase right over here. So we're just going to access that first phase and just kind of completely skip it. And then we got to wait for the red
Really
light.
interesting way to do this.
Yep. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. We get it. Now we have to wait a little bit. You
Yeah,
can catch it and just do that immediately, but unfortunately
It's really hard to aim that ground slam, and if you move even like a centimeter, it puts you all the way back at the start. So yeah, I definitely would have gotten caught there, so that was definitely a good heads up to stop immediately.
So the next mission that we're going to be doing is a pretty fun one. This is the first boss where Pierce really makes a difference. We're going to be fighting a character named Horowitz. So we're going to grab this first
here
to
we go,
flip
yeah.
out. Do you know the story for this?
This mission?
Yeah, why we're doing this, or like what's going on?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So basically, Horowitz and his buddy Wells are both medics, and they were kind of trying to fight back against the Hiss, and they got separated. So now Horowitz is saying, "Hey, go into this threshold and try and find Wells," which is what we are about to do. So I really enjoyed this skip. This was one of the first ones that we found where we're going to drop directly into the solve room of one of the Ocean View motels. You can see Demonic is lining up his position using the map, and if we fall straight down, we will eventually find it. There we go, right in there. Love that. That skips a motel. We call that skip no vacancy.
Yep.
And so that is going to take us over to Wells here. We're going to have a short combat sequence, and then we'll be able to talk to him. This threshold is interesting because I believe, I forget the exact specifics, it's been a long time, but there's like some sort. Basically, there are clocks that are like just massively reproducing and being ported into this world, and so this is kind of the area where they're all contained. So you'll see a bunch of clocks just like absolutely everywhere here. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, it has to do with actually another boss that we'll be fighting later on. So we're gonna do another shield here. So we need to escort Wells back to his buddy Horowitz. His buddy Horowitz ain't doing so hot. But first, we need to actually do a shieldy. Normally, like this wouldn't work. Whenever you teleport away, it just like resets the mission. But here, it doesn't. So because of that, we're actually able to like set up a shieldy here, which lets us get out of bounds a little bit faster. I think technically it is slower RTA, but you know, shieldy is really cool, so we're gonna do it anyway.
Yeah. There we go.
There we go. It's also worth noting that once we have our levitate ability, shieldies are a lot easier because we have a lot more leeway for like making mistakes and going up too high or too low or not far enough. It really kind of makes this category a lot easier.
Hurry up, dude.
Yeah, he just likes to take his time. So we need to wait for him. You can see that I changed missions. That's so I have a little marker over his head, so I kind of just know where he is, and you know, I'm making sure that I'm not leaving him behind and not, you know, doing anything wrong like that. We also have to hit a very specific trigger right here, so hopefully I'll get this first try. If you don't, then you kind of just come back here and you can just skip it and continue on. But
good luck.
That should be good. We get right here, and that should work, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
How do we know?
I don't think there's actually a way to tell this yet until we get to a point where game stop blocks. So
gotcha.
In the meantime, we're gonna get rid of one of Langston's runaways. We have Wells following as well.
We should note that the Langston's Runaways mission too is basically Langston has a bunch of objects of power that escape their containment, and we have to go and cleanse them.
Yeah. So that's where the SCP lore kind of like. That's where they got the inspiration from, is, you know, it's a Japanese paper lantern that has spooky stuff to it. There's a mail letter. There's a, you know, traffic light, all that stuff.
And the reason that we did that whole out of bounds to get Wells up ahead is it skips a number of fight sequences, especially some really extended ones. And Wells really likes to fight, so if he gets caught up there, it can be frustrating. And actually, by basically, we learned this from one of the control devs. I believe it was Adam, Cheese. I forget. Anyway. If you're not looking at Wells, he'll teleport to your position. And so by doing all that, Wells is actually constantly teleporting to us. And so we call this strat Wells Fargo because, because Wells goes far. So, yeah. Oh, thank you. I did. That's another one I came up with. I appreciate the pity claps for my terrible joke.
Best name skip in the entire game. So we're gonna lead him over here. I need to be a little bit careful. Whenever you do this glitch, Wells
does not want to talk to you.
Yeah.
No, he's pissed.
He's kind of mad. He's like, you know, you did all this cool stuff.
So this is literally the hardest part. This is the hardest part right here, is getting to talk.
Oh, it didn't work. There we go.
There we
He
go.
needs to wait for the mission to update. Even though he says Allons-y, if you do not see that pop up, you will soft lock your game and have to do all that over again.
And so this is, even though this is effectively just a powered up enemy, it has the health bar. So this is a boss. So this is Horowitz. He ended up getting infected by the hiss because his HRA broke while we were gone, and so now we have to deal with him. I like the setup here for the explosives. That's good. You could see how much damage Pierce is doing. Horowitz really just gets bullied. Like, I'm not gonna, he just gets bullied in this fight. Pierce, if you hit the headshot, chunks him so hard. Yeah, that's ridiculous. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, nicely done.
And then Wells kind of breaks right here. Oh, he didn't follow me. No, it's fine. Normally he follows you, but he like slides. It's really.
And
great.
it should also be noted that doing that boss also unlocks the mission A Matter of Time, which is going to be the anchor boss, which we'll be fighting. I'm assuming later on, or maybe that's right now.
Yes, we're gonna be fighting it later on.
Later on, okay.
Right now, we are actually going to get another one of Langston's runaways, the hand chair, and of course, you know, it's control now. We're gonna be doing another shieldy to get there. So normally you're supposed to walk through this entire area, like dodge some enemies, destroy some giant mold clusters, but we're not gonna do that. That's not fun. So we're gonna teleport over here. It's also worth noting that specific control points don't work with each other. So there's two right here, the logistics one, which is where we're teleporting to now, and the sealed threshold corridor, which is where we met Wells. If you try to teleport and do a shieldy between those, for whatever reason, I think it's because they're too close together, it just doesn't work.
Yeah, for shieldy to work, you know, from what I understand about... Oh, you okay?
I am a little lost. Oh, okay.
Where are we?
I know where I am.
Okay.
That's fine.
Some of these skips are so tough because you're really just like in nothingness and you just kind of have to know where you're at.
Yeah, and like your computer settings will affect this too. Like your brightness, your saturation, your vibrance. It all affects like what you see in there. So we're just gonna do this the normal way, but that'll give us time for donations.
Okay, cool. Go for it.
All right, I've got a $25 donation from ClockTower.tv. Good luck on the run from the whole Clock Tower gang.
Thank you.
All right, and then I have got another donation from Piper for $100 that says, Control is one of those games I wish I could play for the first time again. Hanging out for the old gods of Asgard before I go to bed. Poor Philip.
Yeah, poor Philip. Maybe it was a good thing that Brian left him behind.
I'll also, on that note with that donation, just so you know, we will be skipping the ashtray maze. We will not be doing that. If you do want to see that, back, like I had an incentive for it at the old run at AGDQ 2020, but the ashtray maze, as cool as it is very slow. So we are going to be skipping that if you were looking forward to that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Again, we're gonna find it, like, it's cool how we skip it though, so
Yeah.
that almost makes up for it,
Yeah,
almost.
agree.
But it's also a good thing too, because if you want to play this game, you should experience that.
You gotta
like,
experience that for yourself. the first time.
like going in blind.
It's such a cool segment.
Yeah.
So right now we're gonna get the last of Langston's Runaways. This will unlock the next mission that we need to get another boss. This one is basically just going to be a bunch of mail collecting in an earlier part of the game, and this is kind of like where the Metroidvania parts come in. A lot of like the side missions kind of pop up after you beat the main area and has you go back and travel to other places. And you know, once you get new powers, like now that we have Levitate, we have like access to this entire area, and there's a bunch of lore and other stuff that we couldn't access before. So that's like where the main gameplay loop comes into play. It's also like trying to get you to get like mods and resources for other stuff. So it's a very, it can be considered like almost a linear game. However, there's a lot of non-linearity to it. All right, then we're gonna drop down here. These letters are not random, which thank goodness they aren't.
Yeah, this is the trickiest one. Oh, you got an enemy spawn here. That's a little weird.
Yes, enemy spawns are kind of random. It has to do with how many times like you load in and out. Hello, guys.
Right.
It has to do with like how many times you load, how many times you put to menu. It's a very weird, but we did get some enemies there sometimes.
Oh, I remember what I was talking about too. On the note of Shieldy not working with like certain fast travel points, from what I understand about it is like you have to cross through like some sort of, you have to cross through like some sort of wall or like a loading area or something like that for it to work.
Yeah, and even then sometimes it doesn't work either. All right, so this is Face of the Emily skip. This is new.
Face of the Emily?
Yep. So normally we're supposed to talk to Emily to get access to this room. However, there's no trigger to hit her, so we just can get that box and then talk to Dylan. This is our brother. This is Jesse's motivation. He's not doing so hot right now. He's floating a little. He's seeing some weird stuff.
The hiss took all of his hair, dude.
It's really tragic. So we talk to him, he gives us his key card, and basically what he wants us to do is he wants us to go check out the ordinary dump. So this was where we found something called the slide projector, and this is what caused a huge explosion. A lot of people died. It was very, very bad, and that's how they got separated.
Amongst other things.
Amongst other things. I'm like narrowing down.
Really messed up stuff happened in Ordinary. Yep.
Yeah, but essentially the Federal Bureau of Control, which contains these, brought over just like the entirety of their dump and like made a recreation of their city and did all this like other stuff. We're not going to be doing any of that except for the very end. But the lore is basically like trying to be like, hey, the FBC might not be as good as you think it is.
That's what Dylan's trying to communicate to you here, yeah.
So we're going to talk to Langston. He's going to go, cool, thank you for doing all that work. There's still more to do. And Jesse's kind of pondering why she's doing all this when it's not her job. But we're going to go find another runaway. So we actually don't really need to beat this quest. We only need to get it, and then we unlock the boss for it. But first we're going to do another boss. This is the Anchor. This is where I quit casually. I was really bad at this fight.
This fight's so hard casually. Yeah, it's really difficult to manage.
So we're doing a little out of bounds here. Gonna come down here, and there we go.
Nice.
So as you can see there, I went a little bit high, but it was fine because I was able to levitate and kind of just figure my way around. It's a good thing that we got Pierce. This actually allows us to do a skip. So we can only attack the Anchor right here when it's about to attack us. and it does a lot of damage. Like, I'm pretty sure no matter what your health is at,
Yeah,
it's gonna
it'll drop you down to 1.
Yep. So thankfully we can do actually one of these cycle skips by hitting it with 2 pierce shots right as it's opening up. Perfect.
Fabrique encore plus que l'ange.
And so this is going to be a little bit of just careful resource management here. We're going to want to be getting one of the throws in every single time that it shoots, and it kind of rotates. It rotates in a clockwise position. So we have to be careful managing our dashes and our throws here. And ideally, if we do this, we'll be able to do it in, I believe it's 3 cycles?
4 cycles.
4 cycles, right. If you hit it with enough pierce shots, you can do a 4 cycle skip, but that's really hard. That's really, really difficult. So yeah, getting it done like this is always nice. So there you go.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, once you kind of understand how that boss works, it's not too bad. But when you're a casual player, that's a rough one. This is one of the ones actually you were talking about. I don't believe they made it easier, but they added a control point that was like right next to it. So for the people that were dying to it over and over, they were able to access
And the problem with
it easier.
that arena is like if you lose even a little bit of height on that platform, there's no recovery. You're dead.
Yep.
So like if your like knee is like below it, like you have no way of mantling up and you just kind of die. So now that we did that though, we're gonna go head over to
I love this sequence.
this next fight. So we saw that the former was hanging out in the fridge. Now it's hanging out in the pink flamingo.
And this is so cool looking. I'm so glad people. I'm glad you don't skip this at least because this looks awesome.
So we're gonna go have our second fight with Former 2. If you play this game, the Former doesn't really get talked about very much in the lore until you get to the DLC. Unfortunately, we're not gonna be doing any of the DLC fights. So there's actually quite a few boss fights in the DLC, the Foundation and the Alan Wake expansion. This category does not have it because, well, this patch doesn't have it. So do that, pretty good damage.
And so this is effectively the same fight on a slightly more challenging arena. There's going to be these kind of islands now instead, so you're kind of working with less space. And this is going pretty decently so far. Again, we're just trying to hit that weak point in the middle of the eye. There we go. Wow, that
Nice.
was really
That was
nice.
really fast.
Much better, yeah. Cool, so yeah, that was really, really quick. And yeah, we have quite a few bosses down at this point.
Yeah. We kind of do like to do them in chunks because usually that's like when we level up. Also, Jesse doesn't like flamingos. That's a real shame, honestly. So now that we did all of that, we can actually continue on with the main story. We only have a few more bosses left. We're getting them down, but we're going to continue the story on for a little bit more. We're going to head over to the Ordinary Dump. This area is actually like one of my favorite missions, even though it's very difficult, because it's one of the few that doesn't really have a whole lot of triggers in it. So because of that, we essentially just hit a few of them, and then we can just go straight to the end. So it's a very short mission. One of the triggers is very hard to hit, so hopefully that goes well. The good thing is that if you die... Oh, let's see here. We're good.
Ooh, okay. Nice.
Yeah, again, loads actually affect like what you can and can't see. So I'm kind of doing a lot of this on muscle memory and like waiting for everything to load in.
Right.
Here we go. I'm going to focus a little bit here.
Nice.
There we go. Oh,
Yeah,
that
you gotta,
jump is so scary.
Yeah, you gotta jump off like a razor's edge on the bottom of that elevator to hit a necessary trigger, and that we've been doing that for about as long as we've been doing the skip. So even I remember how tense that is, and so yeah, it's a lot of really careful resource management, and also that jump timing is tough. It's difficult because you have to jump to levitate, or basically both levitate and jump are on the same. On the same input, so it can be really easy to kind of like double tap or overlap them, or just totally bork that up. So yeah, that was well done. And now we're just kind of move all this out of bounds navigation. We are hitting necessary triggers, and then just kind of maneuvering to the next area. And yeah, we're just kind of. I'm surprised that Demonic is doing this without bringing up their menu at all, or sorry, their map at all, and just kind of doing this all by memory. So we'll know that we hit all the triggers if this kind of red blockage appears on the door.
Please, thank you.
There we go. Cool.
It sometimes likes to just delay it, just to like scare me.
Yeah,
Very rude.
it likes to make you think. So this is one of the longer fight sequences in the game. This is the Ordinary Dump site. And it's going to spawn in a number of enemies here from multiple tiers of enemies from a bunch of different classes. And so, yeah, generally speaking, we're going to be trying to get the multi-kills with launch and taking refuge up on this raised platform to stay away from some of the shriekers.
There you are.
So, yeah.
And this is like not a boss, but it can be one for some people.
Oh, he can be real scary. Yeah, because those basically we're not really upgrading our health too much. So, any of those enemies can drop our health down super duper low, and now we're just waiting for one final dude.
Nope, we actually got some. We did that really fast, so we got those ones as well.
Wow, you beat out the spawns for that. That's impressive. Okay, now we're waiting for one final dude. Anytime.
Come on.
This century?
What happened?
Wow,
There we go.
I've never
There we
seen
go.
that. That took so long.
I think it's because we actually did that so fast that just like it felt like it was taking longer than it
Wow.
was.
Okay.
the
Maybe y'all have this
triple
gotten so
kill
much
there,
better. I'm not used to it.
Again, Pierce really helps with that fight. Normally, when you do any percent, you do that mission
Oh,
exactly the same.
true.
but
You
have
don't
grip.
normally have Pierce for that. Yeah.
Yep. So we are heading over to the research sector again. This is where we met Marshall earlier. We are going to start a little bit of the main mission, and then we're going to do some side content.
Cool.
So we're going to head over, get some more abilities. We try and get like as many of these as we can because this area can be pretty scary. So we're going to do a shieldy here, of course. Pretty much whenever you see me travel, we're going to be using that.
And so, sorry, what mission are we doing now? I'm like,
This
the
is for
route's so
Tango.
different. Okay,
So
we're
this
doing
is the one with
Tango
the
now. Okay.
elevator.
All right, gotcha. Yeah, the route's so different now. I have a hard time keeping up with what's coming up when.
Ooh, I'm gonna let my energy refill just a little bit more. Typically, when I have levitate, I'm not too worried about it because it's a lot safer. Because if we like mess up or do anything wrong, then it's not that big of a deal. So normally we're supposed to do a couple fights here. However, that's slow, and we don't like going slow. We like going fast. So we're gonna do a huge shieldy right over to here and just kind of squeeze through here. And we're entering the very beginning of the ashtray maze. If you've played this game casually, you definitely remember this. We're not gonna go inside of it because what ends up happening is we're going this way, and then we get a message from Ati who tells us that it's broke. So we need to fix it. And the only way that we can fix it is by contacting the janitor. However, Jessie doesn't really want to do that. Like we said earlier, she's kind of a lazy assistant. So we're going to go focus on some side content. We are heading over to another boss fight. And this is probably like story-wise and lore-wise like my favorite one. It's such a good fight. But first, we got to do a shieldy. This is like also a really good one. If you guys have ever seen the Angelina Jolie movie Wanted, we got to curve our shieldy over like she does curved bullets. And then we got to land right over here. Do you want to go over this, Bri, a little bit?
Yeah, this one's really cool. So the whole premise of this one is that the object of power associated with this one, or the altered item rather, is a mirror that leads to a mirror world. And so we're effectively going to be fighting a copy of ourselves named Assedge, which is, of course, Jessie backwards. And so Demonic is going to be hitting some necessary triggers here just to make sure that the fight is going to work. And we're going to skip all the way over into the mirror world, which is, of course, just directly connected to the main one. That's how it has to work. I will note, we used to have a different skip for this that didn't use shieldy, where we kind of like clip through the wall, and we called it pix, which was skip backwards, and I was always really proud of that. So
Yeah.
That was my favorite.
I just wanted to throw that out there. So yeah, this fight's pretty interesting. It's going to be broken down into 3 phases. Assedge has all the abilities that Jessie will have. So she'll be using multiple forms of the service weapon. She'll be levitating. She'll be throwing stuff at us. So yeah, this fight is really, really cool. You can also get one of the best costumes in the game from it. But that said, it takes a very extended amount of time to get it. So we will not be doing that. Yeah.
I'm also swapped my headshot boost over to my grip. Because Jessie moves around, or Assedge moves around so much, it's really hard to hit her and get like a proper headshot hit. Because the headshot hitboxes are a little distended and not super even. So because of that, we switch over to grip just because it's like a little bit easier to aim with how much she's moving around and how much is going on in this.
Yeah, it's yeah, her headshot hitbox is very small and very difficult to hit. So, and yeah, Pierce doesn't really do a ton of damage on her in the first place.
This also, this form of Jessie uses spin, which is basically the machine gun variant. And also will use, I think it's called charge, which is basically a grenade launcher. They can also launch objects at you and use shielding to block our attack. Whenever I grab an object, I'm going to be trying to throw it as quick as I can because this Jessie will actually like steal your object from you.
Yeah, it's super frustrating when that happens too. Collecting health there in between phases, as yeah, a Sedge does do a lot of damage. So here we go, final phase. This is going to be the most difficult one too, as a Sedge is flying around. She's using charge, which is kind of like a grenade launcher. So this gets pretty scary, and her dash comes off cooldown real quick. So yeah, we generally want to deal with her as fast as possible. And most of our damage is going to come from the launch. And as you can see, she's nimble. She's real nimble.
Yeah, flying enemies kind of like dodge, like your first throw at them, but there
Nicely
we go.
done.
Very nice. That's definitely my favorite boss fight in the whole game.
Yeah.
It really makes me want Control PvP.
Yeah.
Like, honestly.
Well, we got that Control, like, PvE game coming.
We do. We got the co-op one.
The co-op one, whenever that comes. Yeah.
And here, normally we don't do these with a lot of the objects because some of the parameters for how all bosses works has to do with the altered items that we cleanse. This one we have to do, but some of them we can like leave after killing the boss immediately. It just depends on the boss. All right, so now we're going to continue on with the main mission. The game is intending for us to find Ahti, so we have to go to the maintenance sector to his office, and it turns out he's on vacation, which, you know, what can you do? And then we have to like chase him like all the way through the facility and then eventually end up somewhere. That is really slow, so we're just going to go to where he wants to meet us. So we're going to head over to the control room. We're going to do another shieldy to get out of bounds and head on over. This is kind of the slow part, the calm before the storm. After this, the game gets really difficult in a good majority of the categories. So we're going to do a quick little shieldy right here. Essentially what we need to do is we need to meet him near the base of the oldest house, which is a very important place because it's the foundation for everything, and it's also where a lot of lore stuff goes down in the DLC that we're not going to be talking about because that would be spoiling it. So we're going to do a shieldy out of here. Gained a little bit of height, but that's all right. And now we're just going to slowly float on over. Get a nice little view of the out of bounds area. This is the quarry. It's like such a cool area casually. Unfortunately, we don't really see too much of it.
Yeah. This is really where you see Levitate doing work, is these really extended out of bounds sequences that take you from point to point.
Okay, so I need one of you to tell me the time.
Yeah,
right?
I gotcha. 32. So yeah, basically when we're at like 1:16:02-ish. So after you press that button, we have to wait for about 90 seconds until basically a trigger appears on the other side. This was one of like the first skips we ever found where basically you can just kind of use Levitate to get across the entire gap. It's pretty intuitive. However, there's like a trigger won't appear until 90 seconds after that button is pressed, which is about the time it takes for the gondola to reach you on the far side. So we're just going to be chilling here for another, I would say, roughly 50 seconds or so at this point. So
yeah, so not much to do. We can do a little boxy McFloaty here. This is what the trick looked like earlier if I can get it. But while I'm doing this and kind of just messing around, we have time for donations.
All right. I've got a $25 donation from Andrew E. that says, I have to donate for Control. Instantly became one of my all-time favorites. And let's take a moment to remind everyone to make Ahti proud and talk to your plants every day. It makes them happy. And then I've got a $15 donation from Otto that says, greetings from the land of Ahti the janitor. Long-time watcher, first-time donator. So glad to see a finished game in GDQ. Good luck on the run, and as the old gods of Asgard say, take control.
you're at about 55 right now.
So we got time for some more?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, you should be good, Demonic.
Okay. All right, I've got a $50 donation from Marvin Mega that says, thanks for running my favorite game during my favorite event of the year. Some directors keep the lights on. Yours are to keep the speed up.
We got time for one more.
Okay. All right, here we go. I got $10 from Crustacean that says, I loved the World of Control, but I was absolutely terrible at the combat, so I'm looking forward to seeing this great game be completely broken.
Nice. All right, so we're going to grab the checkpoint right here, and we're going to swap our headshot boost mod back onto grip. And this is where the run gets really hard. So we're going to get this ability.
Is it mold time?
Yes, it is mold time.
It's mold time.
So we're going to return back to Central Research. We have 2 more bosses left to fight, and these are the hardest bosses in the game.
Yeah, it's actually, it should be noted, these are so hard. We used to, in the old route, we used to complete the game and then go do them post. So, yeah. So doing them a little bit earlier definitely requires a little bit of guts.
Yeah. So when you're playing this game casually, there's a lot of rooms that have like what's like called mold, where you go into them and it's like all moldy and gross. And if you get near stuff, it'll actually do damage to you. So this is the payoff to that. And we find this researcher who basically says like the mold is taking over and we need to deal with this. And essentially like what she wants you to do is she wants you to go all around the entirety of the oldest house to collect mold samples to make you like immune to the mold's damage. That's really slow, so we're not gonna do that. So we're gonna come up here and we're gonna grab this checkpoint. This is pretty important. It's also worth noting that this is like one of the bosses that Cosmic was talking about earlier that they changed later on to add a control point to make it easier. But we're gonna come down here, don't worry, that is actually an intentional death. We wanna do that because the way that we die down there is just there's a death trigger, but it's also a trigger for the objective. So because we hit it, we can just go straight to the boss. So the way that we're gonna do that is what's called a CP slam. So I'm gonna do a lot of inputs here.
Yeah, basically he's trying to slam at the same time he does a fast travel, and that kind of displaces his player position. So when he gets fast traveled, he's gonna be out of bounds basically as soon as the we go.
Yep, there we go, easy. All right, nice.
And so this skip is called errandless. Basically, it just skips having to run errands for a bunch of I forget what the researcher's name is. Oh my goodness, it's been so long. Anyway, we'd have had to go collect a bunch of samples for her to get an immunity to the mold, but we don't have to do that anymore. And now here we go. We're gonna fight Mold 1, which is believed to be the source of it all. You will definitely remember this boss if you fought it casually. It's going to shoot out, it has like multiple attacks. It'll be, its weak points are going to be indicated by those bright blue glowing things, which will be exposed both when it attacks with its kind of like lunge attack and also when it shoots the little spores out. We also have these dropping bombs, and wow, you just annihilated that thing. That was so good. That was like one of the fastest mold kills I've seen. I couldn't even get done telling the folks about what was going on before it was dead. Holy schmoly.
Yeah, that's like the perfect example of both the headshot boost on the Pierce and how good our launch is. Like our launch is like the best ability because normally in this game you are very, very under leveled when you're doing a lot of this stuff. However, because
in the speedrun at least.
Yeah, because, in the speedrun at least. However, because we like just dump all our points into launch at the very beginning, it just like evens everything out and we get like a lot of cool stuff like that. So now we're heading to my least favorite boss. This is a post-game boss because of like the effects of the speed run, we actually can unlock it before we beat the game. So we're gonna go do it really quick. This is the last boss in the run, if I'm counting correctly, which I think I am.
I can't think of anything that we've missed. So, yeah. Basically, this is going to be, if you remember when we fought Tomasi earlier, we didn't quite deplete, excuse me, his health pool. And so he's still around, and so this is going to be us fighting him again. But this time it's going to be quite a bit harder. The arena that we're in is difficult, and there's going to be a lot more high-powered enemies. As well, Tomasi is, of course, going to have more health. He's going to be more aggressive. So he's effectively still kind of like a powered-up version of one of those like flyers that we see around. But yeah, this is going to be another part where Pierce comes in very handy, and so we're just going to take a shieldy to get to his position as quick as we can.
Yeah, this is also where I'm going to be pulling out the map because I, again, am in a very like dark area, so I want to like have myself aligned in a very specific position. So, coming over here, if you see these question marks in this building, this is where the boss fight takes place. I'm going to slowly fall down.
Just making some minor adjustments. There we go.
No, we get a Deus Ex mode here for a second. This should be fixed in a minute,
Deus
hopefully.
Ex mode, that's funny.
Oh, we might be fighting this a little. There we go. Okay. I was like, I really hope we didn't have to do that entire fight.
So how Tomasi 2 works is he's going to be bringing up, bring up some bit of debris. And if you're able to hit him with either a launch or a pierce shot while those are up, you can actually prevent him from attacking, which is huge. And even though we have a pretty high amount of health at this point, if we take a hit, it will do a significant amount of damage. And so Tomasi will start spawning in a bunch of like the shriekers that will explode on us. And if we take too long, it'll spawn in one of those really nasty invisible enemies, the distorted, that will basically they'll sneak up on us and one-shot us. So this fight is hard. we are almost there, but as you can see, it's getting tight.
Oh, this is not great.
Yeah, and when you fall down, it gets way worse. So what Demonic is looking for now, he wants to get out of that one-shot range, which he is not quite out of yet.
We're gonna try that one more time.
Yeah.
This fight is really hard because you just get hit by like so much stuff and there's so many bosses. And you also don't like want to stay up there too long because like Bryce said, there's that flying enemy that just is invisible and will completely destroy you. So it can be a little bit scary. But as we're getting back here, we have time for donations, which is a nice little side effect.
All right. All right, I've got a $50 donation from DB Smile that says, I just, Alan, woke up with a bad head pain, but got it under control when I saw my favorite game of the last 5 years on GDQ.
I like that.
The commentary has been a great Crossfire X of lore, techniques, and humor. Quantum Break.
I'm gonna clap for that. That's impressive that you're able to combine every single one of Remedy's games right there.
Yeah, and I do appreciate Cosmic. Normally he likes to drop a lot of puns, but he's been holding himself back.
We had it under control, dude. What can I say? Quantum Break's a good game, by the way. Demonic, you should mention it more.
Getting Crossfire X in there too, that was impressive. All right, good luck with this one.
Yeah, so we're just gonna fall down slowly. Again, Deus Ex mode.
Yeah, this fight is, like I said, this used to be one of the last fights we did in the run, so it is hard.
Another issue is objects like to get like stuck here, like when we throw them, like right there.
Yeah, you kind of have to like hesitate a bit before you throw it, and it can, for one, it gives Tomasi a higher chance to dodge it, and as well, it kind of throws off your timing. So yeah, normally like so often you want to be just doing that like instantly, and so. Yeah, the fight I feel like just gets harder the longer it goes on, so it gets really tough, especially with the explodey dudes and everything around here. So, and also another side effect of this too is that Tomasi is also flying around. So like acquiring him as a target when you have all these other floating guys is not easy. Oh, you can hear the distorted. They're coming for Demonic right now too.
Whoa, all right.
Dude, this is so... Oh, he's okay. He's coming on your right now.
Yep.
Nice, you got him.
Nice.
Wow,
Yeah.
dude, you could see him. He was right there, too. Oh, man, that was terrifying. Holy crap.
Thankfully, that was the very last boss of the...
How fast your heart rate right now, Demon?
A little fast. Triple digits, probably. It's fine, though. The rest of the game is a lot easier, thanks to Shieldy. So we're heading over to Polaris. This is like a speedrunner's worst nightmare because you do all this hard stuff, all this work to, beat the game and get a PB, and this is like the last run of it. This is the really hard part, or at least used to be. We're going to be doing a lot of weird stuff, and I will admit, I'm not too sure how it works. I just do it and it works, so...
Yeah. Yeah, I guess we'll explain more when we get there, but first of all, we have to skip the ashtray maze to get there, right?
Yes, and we're going to do that with a Shieldy. Again, I apologize. There is a inbounds category. If you are interested in a speedrun that does include the ashtray maze, there is a category for it. But for now, we're going to just basically fly out of bounds.
And watch that red arrow. You go so fast.
And this skip is called no smoking, right?
Yes. So right now, you can't see all my inputs. I'm trying to balance out distance with height.
This is wild.
Yeah, and again, your mouse positioning actually is affected here.
Oh, yeah, that's so interesting.
So we're gonna get right over the bridge, and we are falling, but once we get down here, we are really high up. There we go.
Wow, you are way up there.
And
Cool.
we have skipped the ashtray maze.
Nice. Yeah, at the end of the day, it takes 5 minutes to get through the ashtray maze, so just ain't no way that will ever be faster, unfortunately.
All right. So what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be doing a Shieldy, and normally this is a very important part of the game story. It's the big climactic thing where we learned that the hiss came from the slide projector that we ran into all those years ago, and now we need to save Hedron, who is actually Polaris, who's been the voice in our head the entire game, who's been protecting us. So that's what this game wants you to do. The way you're supposed to do that is you are supposed to cleanse 6 siphons, these little satellite things where you need to hold a interact on them for 7 seconds, and if you get hit by enemies, you lose it. You have to restart the entire thing. And the issue with that is there are a lot of enemies here, and they are relatively accurate. We used to have a strat, and we still do for inbounds, on how to get through this as consistently as possible. But up until we found Shieldy, it was kind of like a 70% chance your run would just like die here.
It's really hard. Yeah, there's a lot of enemies in place, and you have to be stationary for such a long period of time. Yeah, one tick of damage knocks you off it, but fortunately, we have a strat that allows us to effectively skip the entire, I guess you would say, like
the first half.
Yeah, the entire like first half of what's going on here.
So we hit that door, which is supposed to start a cutscene. However, we haven't hit the trigger for it. So we hit the trigger there. We let go of the keyword. Do not skip this cutscene. I've done that before, and it's really, really sucks. It is going to play the first half of this cutscene. It's going to break it automatically, and that's just going to let us skip the first 3 siphons. I don't know how it works. There we go. We got a little T-pose from Jesse. And now we're going to be heading over to the 4th siphon. This was the scariest one for so long that we had a strategy for it called No Fighty Satellite, where we would land in a specific way, aim at a specific location to cause a specific enemy spawn, and hope that a rocket doesn't go through a wall and hits us. We have found something called Never Fighty Satellite, which is a little bit different.
It's like the consistent version.
Yes. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a shieldy. We're going to gain a bunch of height, and then we're going to drop down on the siphon on the right side of it. And if we do that from a really long height, we just drop down, and there's only 2 enemies that spawn, and they don't aggro onto you. So it made this from not very consistent, where you just kind of had to hope and gamble that you had good luck and you wouldn't lose 2 minutes because you had to fight them, to you're going to get it every time as long as you do this right. So I'm going to do more shieldy shenanigans. Oh, we might be stuck in this area. Might have to do another one. Let's see. Come on. There we go. Get really high up. So that's the siphon that we need to go to.
Yep.
Gonna pop in here. And then we're gonna land on this right side. So that should be good.
Looks good.
All right, that's gonna spawn the enemies in. Thankfully, for whatever reason, they're not gonna try and aggro. They're just gonna, give us a little encouraging good luck.
And then they'll despawn as soon as this is done.
Yeah, it's actually kind of funny because they'll spawn all the enemies and then they'll despawn them. So sometimes it gets popping.
All right, and so now we have 2 more siphons left to clear. And these ones are still not quite as scary. This one can be a little bit frustrating with all these enemies with guns down here. So we're gonna clear out a few of them for safety.
Yeah, and you also don't want to kill too many because otherwise it'll spawn in some tougher enemies.
And then for the last one, it's also very consistent, even though there's going to be a lot of big enemies around there. There's like a small chance that we'll get hit by one of them, but generally speaking, if we take this pathway all the way along the left side, it's usually pretty okay.
So we're going to look over there to change the enemy spawns. Oh, of course we get hit. Let's see.
Oh boy.
Come on, we're so close.
Oh boy.
Ooh.
I think we're good.
We're good, nice.
Nice.
All right. Yeah. It's always so scary.
It's so wild seeing this section be like kind of chill now, because I think between watching the both of you, I've watched like dozens of runs die here with the
They
old
used to
route.
be so scary. Yeah. And so this is where the fake credit sequence would normally be. We're gonna go ahead and we're just gonna Alt F4 the game just so we can get through faster. That way we can keep the marathon going and everything like that, and we don't have to sit through the fake credits to get there. So basically that would have been a fake credit sequence. You would have been deked out, and then it starts the following sequence after, which we're about to see. So we didn't really miss anything from that. Just kind of sitting looking at credits for about 2.5 minutes or something like that.
Yeah. So the lore thing though is that essentially Hedron died and the Hiss took over Jesse, and the fake credits are like trying to you got the bad ending, this really sucks. And then you start to see some of the credits warp. And it's a really good scene, like when you're doing it casually.
I was pissed off casually. I was like, they're going to end it like that? I was so mad. Yeah, I got.
What they just wanted to do is they wanted to show us what happens when you get infected by the Hiss. And it shows your true worst nightmare possible, is what my headcanon is. So we're going to load into here. And if you're wondering what Jesse's is, we're going to see it. It's working a 9-to-5 office job. Truly just the worst thing ever.
Extremely relatable.
So as we're, getting into the exhilarating gameplay of cleaning up coffee cups, let's get some donations in.
All right. I've got a $50 donation from Stush that says, the great thing about this is that all the nonsense you're doing right now kind of makes sense in the game you're playing. All right, and then we've got a $500 donation from Mott Wakarb that says, "Hey everyone, Control is easily one of my favorite games I've played all time. So much fun lore and shared universe with other Remedy games. Seeing this game get the GDQ treatment is totally worth it." All right, and then I've got a $25 donation from Shifter that says, "What's your favorite altered item / OOP?" Mine's the rubber duck.
Yeah, rubber duck's pretty good.
Rubber duck's good.
What about you, Demonic?
I like the Oh Dear Diner mug.
The Oh Dear Diner mug?
Yeah, it keeps your coffee warm all times.
Oh, that's true. That is a good thing. That is a good thing. I wonder what my favorite is. Oh, I gotta go.
What about you two, Mike?
The movie projector and one of the DLCs.
That's a good one too. That's a really
Oh,
good
the
one.
movie
That
projector?
one was awesome.
Okay, dang, you're stealing all the ones I'm Dang.
Cosmic, what's yours?
The fridge, it's pretty chill.
Oh my. All right. Okay.
Let's get another donation as a palate cleanser there.
Sounds good, and I've got the perfect one here from Mr. Horrible, a $2,000 donation that
Wow.
says, "Let's go."
All right. So right now this is a loop, and we're supposed to break the loop to, push out the hiss and get our service weapon back and, fight back against what's going on. I'm going to try and do what's called a fake noom here. It saves absolutely no time, but it looks really cool. So we're going to... Oh, a little too early. We didn't get it. Sometimes what happens is when you are mantling into a cutscene, it tries to put you both where you mantle to and where the cutscene places you, and you end up getting caught on the collision and just land right there. Saves no time because we can run over there just normally and pick up the mail in time, but it looks always, really cool. But here we go. We're heading into the very last area of the game. We're finally going to get back our service weapon. We're going to finally, get out of the hiss area, and we're going to go finally confront Dylan and close the slide projector, because a lot of bad stuff happened. If you know SCP, they're not like the best organization morally. The FBC tries to be a little bit better than that, but of course, they're not really perfect, and there is some sketchy stuff that has gone on in the oldest house. But essentially, we just kind of need to cleanse the hiss, get it out of here, and close the slide projector. So that's going to be Jesse's main goal. It turns out that even though Hedron died, who was also Polaris, she kind of left a piece of herself inside of Jesse. So because of that, we're able to break out of this, and now we are back in the real world, no longer infected by the hiss. So we're going to head into this very bright red area.
Oh boy. Yeah, I bet
That's
this is
gonna be a trip.
Yeah, this is going to be very interesting to do.
The saturation settings on this monitor are very high, so this will be interesting trying to navigate through here. There's a bunch of fight sequences that we are intended to do in this area, but fortunately, we're going to be able to just kind of fly from area to area.
Yeah, I'm going to give a little bit of a warning here. If you're sensitive to bright lights, it's going to be bad. But I just want to do our little outro, though. I just wanted to give a big old thanks to my commentators behind me, Bry, Cosmic, Mike. You guys are absolutely insane and have really helped out with this run. If you are interested in learning the game, feel free to stop by the Discord. We have a bunch of guides, a bunch of people who will help you out. When I was learning this game, I just had all the world record holders at the time just kind of helping me, just teaching me everything, and sitting in Discord calls and routing stuff. It's been great. So we're gonna head over here. So we're gonna do one last skip. There's a little hole in this geometry. Oh, this is gonna be fun to do with how blind I am.
Oh, good luck, dude. Oh, you got it. No, we can see what's going on here.
Let's see. Gonna take a safety strat. There we go.
There
Okay.
we go. Very nice. Hey. Now we're on the home stretch here. And Demonic, thank you so much for having us, dude. This has been really nice watching Control get ran at GDQ again.
Of course. Gonna climb. This time is gonna come up when we talk to Dylan.
So yeah, time coming up.
And time.
Time.
Thank you guys so much for watching.
Good job, Demonic. That was a great run, dude.
I'm very happy that I was actually able to do this run at GDQ. Again, thank you to Bry for coming with this category. If you want to follow me, I stream all the time. I stream a variety of games. I focus on Control. I focus on old PlayStation games. But you can follow me at twitch.tv/DemonicRobots. Thank you, GDQ, and good luck to the rest of the runners.
All right, thank you so much, Demonic, for that amazing run. Let's give him one more round of applause, y'all. All right, let me read off some more donations. I've got a $100 donation from Mina that says, I had to donate during Control. This was a game I picked up during quarantine for Alan and ended up loving the world and Jesse so much. I have cataract surgery in a few weeks, and GDQ has been such a good way to keep the edge off and keep me entertained at work. Thank you for everything. Donation goes to OOT Beta. And with that, there is a reminder that the bonus game for today is already open, and it is Ocarina of Time Beta Showcase. We are already at over $9,000 out of $225. So if you want to see that later today, make sure to get those donations in as soon as you can. I've got a $25 donation from Captain Snuggles that says, happy to see Control come back to GDQ. I love this quirky game, and we need more games that bring creativity like this to the FPS genre. Send my love to Ati. All right, and I've got a $15 donation from Trainer Anade that says, GDQ is so fun, but remember to take care of yourself. Take a shower, hydrate, eat, stretch, and get some sleep. Worst case, you can always catch VODs later.